There is a question that quietly lives in the heart of every human being. It does not always arrive loudly or demand attention. Sometimes it appears in silence, late at night, when the world finally slows down and the noise fades away. It is a simple question, yet a heavy one. What is the value of my life? Not in money, not in titles, not in applause or praise, but in meaning. This story begins with that question, and with a boy who was brave enough to ask it. In a small town where morning smelled of dust and warm bread, lived a young boy named Elias. He was not poor, but he was not rich either. He was not the top student in his class, nor the weakest. He was not the loudest voice in the room, nor the quietest. To most people, Elias seemed ordinary. At school, teachers often praised other students more. Among friends, he was rarely chosen first. In crowded places, he sometimes felt invisible, as if he blended into the background. Slowly, without realizing it, a quiet doubt began to grow inside him. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the sky in soft shades of orange and gold, Elias sat beside his father on the wooden porch of their home. His father's name was Samuel, a calm man who did not speak often, but whose words always carried weight. Elias stared at his hands for a long moment before finally speaking. "Father, can I ask you something?" Samuel turned toward him and nodded. "Of course." Elias took a deep breath and asked, "What is the value of my life?" The question hung in the air. Samuel did not answer immediately. He looked at his son with gentle eyes, as if searching for the best way to reach his heart. Then, without a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth pouch. From it, he revealed a stone. It was smooth, shiny, and unusually beautiful, catching the fading light with ease. Samuel placed the stone in Elias's open palm and said calmly, "Tomorrow I want you to take this stone to the town market. Sit there quietly, and if anyone asks you how much the stone costs, do not answer with words. Just hold up 2 fingers." Elias looked confused. "That's all?" he asked. "That's all," Samuel replied. Elias nodded, unsure of what this had to do with his question, but he trusted his father. And sometimes, trust is the first step toward understanding. The next morning, Elias walked to the town market. The air was filled with noise as vendors shouted prices and people hurried past, chasing bargains and daily needs. Elias sat on a small wooden crate near the edge of the market, the stone resting quietly in his hand. At first, no one noticed him. After a while, an elderly woman stopped and looked closely at the stone. "That's a lovely little rock," she said. "How much is it, child?" Elias remembered his father's words. He said nothing and simply raised 2 fingers. The woman smiled. "2 rupees? I'll take it." She reached into her purse. Elias felt a strange tightening in his chest. 2 rupees. He hesitated, then gently closed his fingers around the stone and shook his head. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, standing up and walking away, leaving the woman confused. When Elias returned home and told his father what had happened, Samuel listened carefully and nodded. "Good," he said. After a brief pause, he added, "Now, take the stone to a jewelry shop." Later that day, Elias stepped into a small jewelry store. The atmosphere felt different, calmer, and more focused. Glass cases displayed rings and necklaces that sparkled under warm lights. The jeweler noticed the stone immediately, his eyes sharpening with interest. "Where did you get that?" he asked. Elias did not answer. He raised 2 fingers. The jeweler raised his eyebrows. 200 rupees, that's a fair price, I'll buy it." Elias felt his heart race. The same stone, the same 2 fingers, but a completely different reaction. Without selling the stone, Elias hurried home. When he told his father, Samuel remained calm. "You're learning," he said softly, "but we're not finished yet." The next day, Samuel gave Elias one more instruction. "Take the stone to the district where rare and precious stones are traded." This place felt nothing like the market. The streets were quiet and the people moved slowly and carefully, examining every stone with patience and respect. Elias felt small as he walked through the stalls. Then a well-dressed merchant noticed the stone in his hand and stopped instantly. "May I see that?" he asked, trying to hide his excitement. Elias opened his palm. The merchant's breath caught. "How much?" he asked. Elias raised 2 fingers. The merchant's eyes widened. 2,000 rupees. I'll give you 5,000 right now." Elias could hardly believe what he was hearing and returned home in silence, his mind racing. This time Samuel did not smile. He simply said, "One last place." A few days later, Elias entered a large museum in the city. The building was quiet and dignified, its halls filled with history, art, and knowledge. A museum manager noticed the stone almost immediately, and his face changed. "Where did this come from?" he asked in a hushed voice. Elias raised 2 fingers. The manager's voice trembled with excitement. 200,000 rupees, he said, and even that is far below its true value. At that moment, Elias felt something shift deep inside him, not excitement, but understanding. When he returned home, Elias could no longer hold his question inside. "Father," he asked, "why does this stone have a different value everywhere I take it?" Samuel knelt beside him and looked into his eyes. "My son," he said gently, "this stone never changed. The places changed, and so did the people who looked at it. You asked me about the value of your life. Like this stone, your value depends on where you place yourself. To some, you may be worth almost nothing. To others, you will be priceless. It is not because you changed, but because they finally saw you. Never beg to be valued in the wrong place. Never allow those who cannot recognize your worth to define it. If you want your value to rise, grow yourself, respect yourself, and stand where you truly belong." Tears filled Elias's eyes, not from sadness, but from clarity. This story is not really about a stone, it is about you. Your worth does not disappear when someone fails to see it. Your value does not shrink because you were overlooked. Your life does not become smaller because someone treated you as ordinary. Sometimes you are simply standing in the wrong place, surrounded by the wrong voices, measured by the wrong standards, and judged by people who cannot understand your depth. When you move, when you grow, and when you believe in yourself, your value becomes visible. Never settle where you are undervalued. Never doubt yourself because of narrow minds. Never forget that the right environment reveals your true worth. If this story spoke to you, take a moment to reflect on where you are standing in life. If you found meaning here, please like this video, share it with someone who may need this reminder, and subscribe for more stories that inspire strength, growth, and self-belief. Thank you for spending this time with us. May you always recognize your worth, choose the right places, and walk confidently toward the life you deserve.